Yes, you're still watching Breakfast Central. It's been quite exciting. We're about to go into another exciting discussion as well. So in 2016, a New York Times article titled "Discovering Contemporary African Art" with Curator as a guide raised some eyebrows when it profiled 3 curators featuring only one African. More recently, in 2018, the Brooklyn Museum announced 2 new curators, both white and one hired specifically to oversee African art. Such instances contribute to the assumption that there aren't many curators of African descent, whereas in reality, African curators have held shows at biennales across the world, created groundbreaking exhibitions, and continue to change the way African is perceived. We are joined today by a beautiful curator, and she is Ugonna Ibe. So I'm going to be having a chat with Ugonna. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Me. I'm fine.
It's good to have you. I must say you look beautiful this morning.
Thank you. So do you.
But let's talk about, the art. How has it been like for you?
It's been
how are Africans, perceived when it comes to creating?
Well, I do think that we are accepted in the art world as far as, African curators and custodians of African art. And the space has been very exciting to work in, to be in a position to work with African artists, both established and emerging, and being in a position to, put our own perspective on African art for the global view.
Yeah. But how's the challenges been like? What are some of the challenges?
Well, the challenges are, of course, that, there is a more global sort of definition of African art, and the gatekeepers are usually, are largely non-Africans.
Okay.
And so, of course, there is a difficulty in, having these artists be groundbreaking from the soil.
Okay.
You do have a lot of African, a handful of successful African artists, but you'll notice that they are largely in the diaspora.
Okay.
And so I think one of the challenges here is trying to break ground with the Africans that are living here.
But knowing that challenge, what pushed you to still go into it? Then you must be totally passionate about it.
Yes, I'm absolutely passionate about it, but I don't think that there's any field that doesn't come with its unique challenges, especially if you are working from Africa, being a Black African. But I have a background in art. I'm a painter myself, and I am an entrepreneur, and so I am passionate about the art and the artists themselves.
Yeah. Okay, but would you say that white curators are still running African art collections?
Well, I mean, you could say that white people are the gatekeepers to many things, still, on a global scale.
Yeah.
So, of course, the institutions that are renowned, that we look up to say who's next and who's now, are white and white run. So, to a certain extent, of course, unfortunately, most people still rely on essentially the outsider to let us know what's going on in the African
But as an
market.
African, how does that make you feel?
As an African, obviously, it's not the ideal situation, but of course, you want to expose the African artist, you want the African artist to be successful and make money. So, of course, you are targeting the same institutions for that same recognition. And what we can only do is our part as the African custodians to tell these stories from our perspective and to demand the attention that we deserve.
Okay, but some people feel like, I'm still talking about the whites have stolen some of our art pieces, and, how difficult is it going to be trying to bring that back, to our homeland?
So, well, it's not a feeling. They absolutely stole from us, So we have, they stole, they killed for these artifacts. And it's unfortunate. It's been a long-standing debate, getting restitution and whatnot, and it's still going to be difficult because the avenues for getting the artifacts back are not necessarily favorable to the African countries. The burden is on the African countries to pay for getting them back.
We should pay for our own stuff.
Exactly. But the debate right now is who does it belong to? But if something was stolen, then it doesn't belong to, whoever is in possession of it. It was stolen, and the right thing to do is return it.
Just return it back. Yeah. Okay, but so far, the laws to get it back, are they like really, really working? Are they working? Because we get it back.
So there are absolutely no laws to get it back. In fact, the laws are to keep them in these institutions abroad, and that's why they are essentially creating these loan agreement situations where the African countries can loan the artifacts back. And they say that this is just the first step into getting it back, because of course it sounds like, why would I loan something that is mine? But their laws, you know, don't allow them to remove, because in their perspective, it is their possession. So this is their sort of way to go around the laws and say, okay, we'll give it to you on loan and we'll rotate and things like that. But I don't think that that's completely fair at all. I think that these institutions should actually facilitate returning these artifacts and funding that return.
The return. But what's the future of art in Africa?
The future, I don't even think we've, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is, African art is just about, you know, making it in the commercial market, in the secondary market. You see people who, I ran the Lagos Art Auction in 2018, and there were a lot of arts on the, from collectors. So you see that there is a resale value to African art. You know, there is such, I'm sure you know, there's a lot of eyes right now on African art. And so, but we are still in a situation where there isn't enough focus on art history and, you know, fostering the art education on ground. And so it's still so expansive. I think now we haven't seen anything at all, and I'm really, really excited for the future.
For the future. But in terms of art, quickly, I'll ask you this question. I'm being so realistic. We Africans, do we appreciate? Do we even appreciate?
We absolutely appreciate it.
So in terms of financial gains, like, do we make a lot of money from art here in, you know, let me narrow it down to Nigeria.
Right. So art in itself, honestly, it takes a while, and that's anywhere to make money, right? And then you have to have a unique combination of things where you've got the right PR, you've gone to the right schools, or the right curator has, you know, given you that platform. They're unique things that some people just take off. You know, maybe there was even a scandal, and now everyone knows your name. And of course, art is subjective, so it does really rely on somebody saying, you know, this is now important, and then all of a sudden the industry focuses on you. But people are making money. Unfortunately,
people, are you? What about you?
Of course, you know, there are different players in the art ecosystem, right? You've got the dealers, you've got the gallerists, you've got the curators, you've got the artists themselves. So there are definitely different avenues.
So who makes more money?
Who makes more money? Well, it depends where you are, right? The gallerist is likely to make a lot of money if they have, you know, a good combination of artists on their roster, and, you know, they're good at selling a lot. But then you have artists who are just having a real successful time and are doing shows outside and are selling, you know, outside of the country. Unfortunately, Nigerian art right now, as far as Nigerian artists living in Nigeria, we haven't really seen much sales.
Yes, I was just about
beyond £100,000 and whatnot. But we're still seing Benin being, you know, obviously one of the most successful. Nigerian
but I was going to ask, when are we, you know, waiting for, you know, hosting like a very, very big art show that people can come, you know, get art pieces? Is that something that's on the, you know, I know some little ones have been created, but it's not been like done in grand style.
You didn't see the Artex. There's Artex in Lagos, and that they were in their 4th year this year, and it was really big. They had it at Federal Palace this year, and I thought it was excellent. Of the growth and I think that's also a way to sort of keep an eye on what's going on in this African art scene, to see their exponential growth from year 1 to year 4. They initially started at the Civic Center and outgrew that space in a couple of years. And they put on an excellent art fair at Federal Palace. You'd have felt like you were anywhere. And there were so many visitors. There were so many visitors from, you know, across the globe. I met some people from Australia, Germany, coming in just to see, you know, the arts that was there, just to see African artists and to stay informed. So for sure we're doing that. I mentioned we did the Lagos Art Auction last year, and that was over 76 artists involved. So there are grander, you know, we have obviously very, very frequent exhibitions going on, but there are grander, you know, fairs that are going on, that are happening, which also show that the future is really bright.
Right. But you yourself, Ugonna, I want to find out what inspires you.
What inspires me?
Yes.
What inspires me? So, helping people inspires me. And helping people achieve their personal goals, you know, to reach personal fulfillment, that inspires me. So working with artists, I think it's important to let the artist be an artist. And because our industry here is so fragmented and still in need of a lot of structure, you find that you have a lot of artists who are playing very many different roles. They're dealers, they're framers, and then of course you have to put food on your table. And I think that when you are, as an artist, juggling too many things, it affects your art, it affects your output. And so for me, as much as I can take off the artist's plate so that they can create from a deeper place and they can be proud of their work and not be in a situation where they're only creating just to sell. I think that, you know, then I've done a good job. If you're creating, you know, in your most authentic way, I also feel that that is when you find the truest success.
But before I let you go, to young people out there watching, maybe a young girl that wants to go into this, but you know, she's thinking, should I not? I want you to encourage and give us, you know, some of the reasons why you should just go for it.
Well, you absolutely should go for it if that is truly in your heart to do. But as with any avenue in the creative industry, it's not an easy road to take. So you absolutely have to find mentors in the space, find ways to make money. You have to make money. And if that means, you know, finding jobs in the creative industry that pay while you are working on honing your craft, while you're, you know, working on if you're working with an established artist who can show you a bit of the ropes. But if it's in your heart to be an artist, then don't give up. You know, you just have to be realistic about your steps.
And you spoke about finding role models. So just give me, who are some of the role models that, you know, you should look out for if you want to go into art?
Well, I'm director of the Guild of Professional Fine Artists of Nigeria, and we have about 45 members. And these are renowned artists that you've probably heard of: Olaku, Same Bonhon, Edoso Grigo. Quite a few names that are quite popular. Julieta Zenwa Pierce, who just had a workshop with us last week. So that's definitely one avenue to look at and to come to the gallery, the GFA gallery, and to talk with us there. And we can see, we have courses, monthly courses, led by our instructors.
Hope it's not too expensive.
They're not too expensive, but they're led by, they're artist-led. And these are, you know, renowned artists that people would clamor to be in a room with. And so, you know, seize those sort of opportunities. There are workshops, there are talks, you know, there's so much on social media. And unfortunately, as with everything here, you know, the art education system is not strong enough, so you have to do a lot of work on your own. So definitely seize whatever opportunity you find out there.
Okay, cool. There you have it. But quickly again, before I let you go, 2020 is almost around the corner. What are some of the works for you, you know, as director? What are some of the things you're looking forward for in 2020?
In 2020, I'm looking forward to having at least one all-women exhibition with emerging artists.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So in the Guild, we have a very, very small percentage of women membership, female membership. And I was curating, I curate independently as well. I was curating a space a couple of weeks ago, and I was desperately looking for emerging female artists. And what I'm finding is that they are there. They're not as visible. They're not as accessible. They're largely around the country, maybe not Lagos based. And so for me, my goals next year is to seek out more female artists who are not in Lagos and give them the opportunity to exhibit to a wider audience.
Exactly. Now, I am loving that. You know, power to the women. Thank you so much, Ugonna.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a beautiful conversation with you, and keep doing what you do. We love you, and we'll definitely support you.
Love you too.